Cheers. What's going on, my friends? It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. I woke up legendary, then I got to the office, panicked a little bit, couldn't find a hat. Hair was crazy. But everything's all good now. Everything's all good. Picked a shirt up off the floor, grabbed a hat from on the floorboard of the car outside, and I'm ready to rock. I'm excited about today specifically because we're going to be talking to an online dating coach. Wait, what? Yeah. Everybody is looking for their services and products online now. And if they can get that education, I mean, who is going to go and sit in a classroom anyways to learn strategies about dating? I mean, come on, I just don't see it. I think forums were the first place when forums came out that people could share ideas with each other. And then as soon as people discovered that they could package their information and sell it, and now it's so easy to monetize our content just talking about it, we can not only share these ideas, but people can hear them and learn them in the comfort and privacy of their own home. Nothing wrong with being in a classroom, learning about dating. We all should have at some point in our lives, probably. But it's just amazing all of the different niches and topics and ideas you can go into if you want to. All right. So please help me welcome Jacob to the show. What's up, my brother?
How are you doing?
Well, good. I'm married for 14 years, but I can always use a few tips here and there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I'm still trying to I'm still trying to convert my wife. You know what I mean? On
Got to
various
keep the
ways.
spice alive, right? Got to keep
Hey,
it
man. I
spicy.
mean, I like to keep the game alive. You're right, the game alive, and thankfully we're more in love after 14 years than we've ever been in our entire lives. But
Good.
that is because we have tried to find different ways to keep the relationship alive and continue to date each other and so forth. But enough about us. How did you get into this space?
It's interesting, really. So, like God's way of pushing me into it, really. Like God's way of pushing me into it. So I've always studied psychology, always like OCD level, studied psychology level, philosophy as well, all this stuff. And I really was fascinated by the psychology of attraction. Just something like, you're a young guy, like, oh my goodness, like, how does this work and all this stuff. And then I used to be a professional boxer back in the day. And then I got really, really, really ill. So I was about to die ill. And I knew all this stuff. I've always wanted to be a dating coach. I've always wanted to do it. And I thought, I'm going to die anyway. I'm going to put this stuff out. Like, it might help somebody out there. It might help somebody, like, find the one. Because I find the best points in your life is when you're in love. And I'm sure you know that with your wife. It's the best moments are with your wife and your children and all this stuff. And I thought, if I can help somebody, there's one person out there with knowledge of psychology of attraction, then it's worth it. Start putting it out there, and people really resonated with it. I think it's because I generally knew what I was talking about. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the psychology. You were offering more value than just basic stuff.
Absolutely. So the thing was, it's authentic as well. It was purely authentic. So putting it out there, and eventually it grew, and then people were like, this is actually really good. This really works. And then thankfully, thank God, I got better over time. And now I am where I am today. And it's pretty much like that, really. But yeah, I think a lot of it was just from a place of authenticity, and it's there like someone who actually knows what they're talking about. Because there's a lot of, I'm not going to slay anyone, but there's a lot of people with truisms out there. And there's a very different factor from someone who's studied and done their homework to, just be yourself.
Or who has their own personal experience. I think nowadays in this creator economy, and by the way, has it worked? Well, Jacob has over 500,000, I think over 600,000 followers across your platforms, which is, your worth isn't a number yet. In business, fortunately or unfortunately, or however you choose to look at it, our numbers are what kind of keep score, for us. And it's good feedback. So obviously, there's been probably millions and millions and millions of people who have seen your videos, or tens of millions, but there's been over a 500,000 who have said, hey, I want to listen to this guy all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's there, like I say, it's just because if you appeal to the individual, you're going to appeal to the masses. You know, like say if like let's say for example, if you said my wife has this, she says it's about me. How do I fix it? But you're one person. If you got that problem, so there's a million other people in the world.
Sure,
You know, so
sure.
if I talk to you directly, like do this, do that, and that is going to really resonate with somebody else out there.
Yeah. So how did you how long have you been doing this, first of all?
So I've been doing like this for a couple of years, kind of thing. So I've been growing it for a couple of years. So it's been quite a short amount of time. You
Okay.
know, so like over like 10 years, you never know where it could be. You know, so
Yeah.
the goal is obviously to keep growing and keep doing that. But
Did you get into this during like the pandemic and so forth? Did you really come
yeah,
online during that time?
yeah, it was a pandemic, but I got really, really sickly before the pandemic, you know.
Okay.
So I had like a double-edged sword. I was stuck at home
Yeah.
dying at the same
Yeah.
time. Like if you watch my older videos, I might delete a few of them now, but I'm like that. Like I got a skeleton in the face.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's during the pandemic because again, it's a bit of luck really because everything was online then and it's more highlighted. Whereas if you started now, it's a little tricky. You've got to be really special, I think, to like, you know, grow a massive following. You've got to be even more special. You'll be
Well,
better
there's
than
a
everybody.
difference between growing a massive following and growing a reasonable following that can, you
Yeah.
know, build you a decent income.
Mm.
Um, you know, so you're right. It is hard to build a massive following, but I think that personally the field is more level than it ever has before.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anyone can do it. The thing is, like, I'm not special, but the thing is, like, all comes down to homework. Like marketing. At the end of the day, I am a dating coach, but at the end of the day, you have to study marketing at the same time.
Right,
If you
right,
don't, you're an
right. So
idiot.
you could have the
Yeah.
best idea in the world, but if you don't know how to actually create and it's not only just about marketing, it's also understanding how to market on these specific apps that are relevant today, right?
The best thing. So I did read a lot of research into marketing. So I was like, okay, this is good. I can't, you know, I don't want to do anything else for job wise. I want to do this. I love it. Absolutely love it. I'm like, you know, living out of it.
Yeah,
But that's the secondary. The first thing is help people. Secondly is how to make a living out of helping people. You know,
yeah,
but the biggest thing that ever helped me, it sounds really weird, is I love reading the old ancient stuff, like the old philosophy like Aristotle and stuff. The
mm.
best marketing thing I've ever read was Aristotle, Art of the Rhetoric. You'll never beat that. Have you read that one or not? Have you heard of it?
No, no, no.
Phenomenal. It's there like it's hard. It's not easy read. So if anyone watching wants to market, I recommend this 1,000,000%. And you'll see it once you read it. You'll start seeing why I do videos. It's very small idiosyncrasies I do in my videos, which go viral, and it all comes from the art of the rhetoric.
So give us a couple of examples of, because you know what's cool about this conversation with you is that you started doing this sort of outside our community,
Yeah,
and you know we're bringing you here to kind of show our community that hey, it's not just, we didn't invent this, man. We didn't invent this concept of
yeah,
picking a niche and then selling information or packaging your information. There's core 4 ways that you can do that. We call it courses, coaching, events, or you can be an affiliate marketer
yeah,
and sell somebody else's information. Now, obviously, there's other ways to sell products. You can sell physical goods, but we specifically focus on packaging and monetizing information because the ROI is so high
yeah,
versus having physical products. Um, but you know, you're an interesting case study because you started this during the pandemic, sort of on your own. Didn't
yeah,
go through our education specifically. Now you're introduced to our community, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. But it's such a cool thing that you went into this kind of unique niche. And I think one of the biggest challenges that people have is actually picking a niche. You know what I mean? It's like, how could my voice matter in this big sea of people who are all seemingly better at this than I am?
yeah,
And so, you know, I'm sure with your studies with psychology and so forth, there was a lot of there was a lot there wasn't just a total focus on how your strategies worked in the dating space, but also how to build and boost your own confidence and be able to sit in front of the camera and be that marketer. And
Oh yeah.
so, and be that communicator. So, this Aristotle book, like, what were some of the things that you took away from it that have helped you to, what are some examples of things that you've used in your marketing to make you a better marketer?
So in it, it's all algorithms. It basically is about how to market and how to talk to people and be influential. That's what the book is, right? Again, it's a super hard read for anyone. You have to read it about 4 times to understand it.
Yeah.
But the core fundamentals of stuff like this, it's like when you introduce yourself, you need a voice of authority. People are going to listen to you if you're a voice of authority. So you might watch my videos, but every single video, I go, "Hi, I'm a professional dating coach." Straight away, you think, "Okay, this guy knows what he's talking about."
Right.
Every time. So if you said to me, "Hi, I'm head of legendary marketing," I'm like, "Okay, this guy knows like what he's talking about," you know. But I got that. So first time I saw a therapist online do it as well. On TikTok, it goes, "Hi, I'm a professional therapist, and I'm going to teach you about anxiety." And I was watching. I was like, "Why is he doing that every time?" And then he had a massive following. I thought that's a good idea. Read it in the book as well. And I was like, I'm an idiot. Why didn't I think of this? You know, I spoke at the end, but people don't give a shit at the end. People say like, "Okay, watch the video now." So later, put at the start. Secondly, is being numerical. So it's important. So near enough, I'll probably say 9 out
I
of
want to
10
make
videos.
sure we get these, because this is really valuable. So the first one is
100%.
speaking with authority. Second one is
numerical. So people
numerical.
like, especially for online, it's more for online stuff. Everyone likes to complete something, you know. So if I say it works in 3, 5s, and 10s, so 9 out of 10 of my videos go, "Hi, there's 3 ways to make your girlfriend happy. There's 10 ways to know that you're a high value partner.
Yeah.
3, 5, 10. 4s don't work, 6 don't work, 7s don't work, 8s don't work, 9s don't work." And this is Aristotle. The 3s, 5s, and the 10s are a magical number because it's like a completion thing in your head. It's psychology. And you want to watch at the end. And you're always going to think, what's the last one going to be? Because people say the last one's the best. So people are always going to watch your content, boost the algorithm out, and you get pushed out more. Other stuff as well is like truisms is a weird one. So you don't be too, you want to make people think, but you don't make them feel stupid.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if I'm saying something to you, you want to feel like you've learned something, but you don't want to feel like an idiot at the same time. Does that make sense?
That's such a difficult balance, isn't it?
Very hard. So there's some stuff in psychology that I know, which is hard to explain. And it's like, it's tough to like, someone who doesn't know psychology, but you got to treat everybody like they're a beginner. And I'm a beginner in a lot of aspects in different areas of psychology, like could be PTSD. I'm not great at PTSD. Do you know what I mean? I'm good at anxiety, but not PTSD. It's a different area. So if someone's explaining to me in PTSD, like my mum's a phenomenal person in that area. She's a psychologist as well. And she's there like, if she explains to me, I'm like, it's over my head, you know?
Right.
But if she explains it in a certain way, I'm like, I understand that. I don't feel stupid, you know? Yeah. So you've got to have truisms, but not like pointless truisms. So I see a lot of people go stuff like, know your worth. We all know that. I don't need to tell you that. You know what I mean? But if I say, do this to make yourself feel more attractive, but then they make it a little bit something that's out the box, but nothing like too weird. Does that make sense? So truism, but not too much.
Yeah. I think beginners, we do this so much, especially when, we see people coming into the make money online space, or just the business opportunity space, or just, you know what I mean? People are like, it's almost like somebody found religion, or somebody got sober or something, then they want to go back and tell everybody else how they're living wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just such an unattractive energy. It's just it's people run in the opposite direction when they sense somebody coming at them who's going to try to tell them why what I believe is better than what you believe, or what I'm doing 100%. Better than what you're doing.
100%. Yeah. If I start going like, you're stupid because you're doing this, no, like not at all. Is there like, it's just a way of making it sound nice and helpful. Like, say, let's say, for example,
having some empathy, man. It's having a little bit of sympathy and empathy, and just like really it's really almost also what I think it is it's letting people save face. It's giving them it's not even trying to corner them. It's always giving people an out, like your audience or your students or even your children. It's not trying to back them into a corner and get them to say, you know, yes, what I'm doing is wrong. It's stupid. And my job is dumb. I can't believe that or whatever it is, you know, if you're selling some make money online product. But it's more to say, hey, look, you're doing this in the easiest way that I've found, and you share with me your ideas, but I've just found the easiest way to give somebody an out is to share my own story and to
Yes.
put some of my own dirty laundry on the table so they feel like I'm not just trying to get you to show your dirty laundry and say you got a big pile of shit, but I'm also letting you know I've had a pile of shit, still do have piles of shit, and this is how I'm dealing with them.
The thing is, absolutely, in terms of marketing, nobody in the world starts off as a good marketer. No one in the world, like no one goes like into the game thinking, "Oh, I'm like Alan Sugar." You're not, mate. Like you're all starting at ground zero. You know what I mean? You're gonna make mistakes. I made mistakes at the start. I really did. And I was like, I'm an idiot. That's why I learned from different books and sources and stuff like that. And again, when we look at the dating coaching, you're right. If I went to like, let's say their fashion was terrible. If I went, you're wearing shit clothes, what the fuck are you doing? They can be like, fuck off, you're a dick. Do you know what I mean? But if I went,
Yeah.
you know what, I think you look better in black. Something like that. Do you know what I mean? It just sounds nicer. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to
Or even there was a really powerful strategy that I learned a long time ago, which was if I really wanted to be strong with somebody, then I would say, and what I learned as I was sitting there talking to that man who shared that lesson with me back then, where he looked me dead in the eye and he said, Dave, you just don't look good in blue, brother. Wear black, right? And so in turn, what I'm doing is I'm telling a story where somebody's talking to me, but the person who I'm telling the story to, I still get to look right in their eyes
yes.
and tell them the thing, but it's not about them. I've already made it about me. So I've given them an out, but it still really powerfully drives the point home because I'm looking at them and it's as if I'm talking to them, and I am in a way am talking to them, but I'm doing it through story.
Yeah, 100%. Like everything can be done through like story as well. But what I have found out as well with like the new market is people really like blunt advice as well at the same time. But you could be nice and blunt at the same time. Does that make
They
sense?
like blunt, you say they like direct.
Yeah. Or most of my clients, I'll say 99% of my clients come to me because I don't piss around. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, say if someone has like a boyfriend who's not treating them nice, a lot of dating coaches would be like, "Oh, you know, just try and talk to them." Like, fuck them off, done. I am. I don't mess about with it. Like, so I'm like, because anyone who knows that I'm sure you can look at someone who's doing business and you know how it's going to go in 5 years by their personality type, right?
So people, it's what I've learned is change is hard.
Do you see? I found it might be different in market.
Well,
I found
I'm
it a bit
saying
different.
that it's hard to expect. Well, I think I'm in alignment with your point because you asked that you know your philosophy was if somebody's treating one of your clients like shit, get rid of them because
Absolutely.
there's a lot of fish, and so I think that yes, expecting somebody to change, whether they be an employee or a business partner or something, is hard. It's hard enough to change yourself.
Yeah, I think if
So I
someone's
think I
like,
agree with
well,
your advice.
yeah, I think if someone's got like, let's say, looking for market. So if I look from dating perspective, I'm like really blunt with it because people like blunt. A lot of people are like wishy washy, including me in
Yeah,
marketing. If you said to somebody, "Do this, you can get this result," people are like, "Yeah, great." But if you go, "Oh, you're a bit fugazi about it," they're like, "I can't be asked with this guy." But is there like, I found like with marketing and stuff in that thing, people can change different areas, but I think you're either lazy or not. You know
yeah.
what I mean? I think you got. I think with anything business related, this is my personal experience. I might be wrong here. You have to be OCD with it, in my opinion. I think
It's not a bad trait to have if you're trying to be an entrepreneur. There's no doubt about that. I mean, a
yeah.
little bit of OCD. I want to jump back to the book because or the some of the strategies that you were talking about because I think there's a couple of people in the comments who are like, "What's the name of the book?" Forget the name of the book. The book doesn't even matter. He can definitely actually. Joanne, can you type in the name of the book and we'll type it in.
Yeah.
He can say it one more time. What was it?
Art,
Aristotle. What?
Aristotle, Art of the Rhetoric.
art of the rhetoric, Aristotle, art of the rhetoric, but mouth still waking up. But here's one thing before you go on with any, I want to keep talking about that numerical kind of thing. And I want to talk
Yeah,
about a couple of the other things, because those are such practical things that
yeah,
I think a lot of people just, and even the giving people an out, like not backing people into a corner and trying to shake your finger at them, is such a powerful concept.
yeah.
Um, but I do want to point out the fact that you can really find valuable marketing lessons really anywhere you look. And just to share the idea of, look, all these current business books are not always where the gold's at. A lot of times the gold is in the old timey stuff, the stuff, whether it be from previous, centuries, or whether it be from previous generations. A lot of the things that we're using today are unchanged from past centuries. It's
Like,
just that the platform's different.
like
How we're
Sons of
using.
Art of War, isn't it? That's timeless art of war for
I haven't read that book. Maybe I should. I'm a little
that's
afraid
amazing.
that it's going to turn me into a cold-hearted business maniac. But what are some of the things that you took away from any other tips from the Aristotle book, or then this Art of War book? Like, what have you used in your marketing? How have you
Yeah.
applied it to this business?
Inflections in Aristotle are rhetoric is inflections. Inflections do make a big difference, especially when you're talking and when you're
Mm,
writing. The inflection. So if you put, for example, you're writing something. Let's say, think of an example. Okay, best way to make yourself attractive. Okay, my niche, right? When you're writing it, best way to make yourself attractive. You always make it sounds really stupid, but you put whatever your main subject is, your core thing, your subject in bigger writing. It sounds as stupid as that. It's as easy and
yeah.
simple as that, right?
Yeah.
So, but the reason is because it draws the eyes towards it. It makes you think, well, what am I going to say? I'm like, 5 ways of making yourself more attractive. Do you know what I mean? And then you're inflecting that point
Yeah.
because it's kind of like a little highlighting point. It sounds really stupid, but I experiment with this on videos. Videos that don't have inflections and videos that do. Videos that do have inflections always do better.
Wow.
Yeah,
Listen up, folks. We're going back to these strategies so you can walk away with something practical. I'm telling you, these things that you're going over right now, you're articulating something that I've also used for the past decade of my career,
yeah,
and it's been really powerful. I've always called it tonality, like,
yeah. That's what I
your
would.
tone, but inflections, it's the same exact thing.
Absolutely.
And why do you think? I mean, is it as simple as, when you're more monotone, it's just sounds boring? Is there some science or
Yeah.
something behind it? But why? What else do you know about it? About why this is so important?
The thing is because again, it's a highlight. It makes it more interesting. If it like storytelling's a great thing. Like, say if you ever heard someone tell a story, they could tell you a story when they went to the moon and then they had like an orgy on the moon. It was boring. If they'd said in a boring way, I went to the moon, an orgy on the moon, you're like, great. Mate, I went to the moon, it was incredible, you wouldn't believe I went in a rocket. I had an orgy on the moon, it was fucking mental. And the inflections, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna like it's so much more interesting. Always remember growing up, I had a mate. He could tell you stories, and you're like, this guy. I could listen. He goes a story about going to get some bread down the shop. You're like, fucking tell me more, mate. Like, do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? He was so good at it. I
Yeah.
don't know if he's sales actually now, but yeah, he was so good at it, and you're like, yeah. But then you got some people who have actually amazing life, but it's so boring. And I think that's what it comes down to is having those inflections. Do you know what I mean?
I'm telling you, some people got some interesting lives, man, but
Yeah,
they can't get excited to talk about it. It's
absolutely.
I meet clients all the time at events, and I have over the past decade, man, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't have a story," or like they're so critical of their own experience and their own story. And yet they have so many cool experiences that not only they could talk about, but also they could relate to the
Yeah.
product or service that they're promoting, or that they've created. And yeah, why do you think that the phenomenon or science that I know about why we I guess, minimize our own stories and our own voice and our own message is something called the liking gap, which is a phenomenon where it's been studied, it's been named the liking gap, to where we actually just there's a big gap in the amount in how much people like us and how much we think they like us. We think
Yeah,
they don't like us, but really they really like us a lot more than we realize.
absolutely.
What do you think? I mean, obviously, there's we're talking about some really cool practical strategies people can use, but if I don't believe it, like, eventually, man,
One
eventually,
hundred
like,
percent.
I get exhausted or whatever. Like I said, change is hard. So I've always said, act yourself into a new way of thinking. Don't try. You're not going to just sit there and go, "There's no weeds in my yard. There's no weeds." Like, you gotta
Yeah.
act yourself into thinking. But how either what do you know about building confidence, or how have you done it yourself to actually believe the things that you're saying and believe in yourself more?
Well, the thing is, every single thing I have said works because I've done it myself. You know, and it's like the best, your best reviewer is gonna be yourself. I've done this, it works, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've done my
Could you
biggest.
stop right there? I wonder if you could stop right there and that would just be enough. Now, I don't want to stop you right there. I want you to say more. But it's so weird that sometimes I ask you that question and in 5 seconds you gave me the true answer,
Yeah.
which is and you there was no hesitation. And I just wonder if anybody else caught that. Did anybody else? I asked you, what is your like key or secret to confidence? And you said, because all the stuff that I talk about, I've done it.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
and I know that it works, or I know that it doesn't work. And I wonder if that's just all we needed to know, was that you can talk about something insanely confident as soon as you've done it. Even if you've only done it one time. If you go to a water park and all your friends have not gone up on the big slide,
Good
and they're
analogy.
just like, "Oh, whoa, that's so high, I don't know," but you climbed your ass up there one time and slid down. You can talk about it like you've done it 1,000 times, and we usually do, right? We come back, we're like, "That you gotta go," right?
But this sounds
Um,
really interesting, right? Because we talked about like inflections a second ago. You're
yeah,
doing it now, and
of
how much
course.
more engaging is this? Like, do you know what I mean? People are like, this is sick. Like, do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? This is fun. Like, but you're
yeah.
100% right. Like, yeah, if you've done it before, like, I would think of someone from the boxing world as well. Who you going to listen to? For example, the guy who he's never picked up a pair of gloves in his life, or the world champion. He's been there, done that. You shut your mouth, you listen to him. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
If I go into a gym, I think you're better than me. I'm going to shut up and I'm going to be your bitch in this scenario, effectively. Do you know what I mean? In the boxing,
Totally.
that is, right?
Totally, I'm gonna submit to your knowledge.
100%. And I think the biggest, second biggest thing about confidence as well is it's a bit dark, but once you hit a serious rock bottom in your life, you can't. Nothing scares you, mate. Nothing scares you. Do you know what I mean? So let's say, for example, if I'm like really struggling, let's say I'm a little bit nervous about something. I always think the time where I was basically on death's door, mate. What are you gonna do to me? You could throw insults at me. You could say I'm the worst person you've ever had on this podcast or whatever. Like, who gives a shit, mate? What are you gonna do? There's nothing you can do to affect me. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing you can do that's gonna be worse than that. For example, I've been beat up on TV. Before I went to a boxing match, he was the eighth best amateur in the world on his pro debut. I'm like, why the fuck am I here? Why am I fighting this guy? Got my ass handed to
You
me.
were the entertainment. I'm thinking on that
I
one,
was,
brother.
I was the scapegoat. I was a punching bag. I was like, why am I here, mate? I went the distance somehow, but I nearly
Good for
died.
you. Good for you.
Anyway, but I was out and getting beat up. You can't beat me up like that. Do you know what I mean?
For
There's
somebody
nothing
who's
you can do to affect
listening,
my confidence. So whenever you're scared of something, just think, well, this isn't as bad as something I've been through. I'm sure everyone's been through something really bad in their life. 9 out of 10 people have.
that's the key right there,
Yeah,
right?
and you just
Like,
think, what's the worst can happen to me? You cannot do anything that's worse than what's happening to you now. You know?
Yeah, and I think becoming really present with the stuff that you've struggled through and survived through to get to this point, and that's what I say often is that look at all the things that you've been through and overcome already. And if you can overcome those things, whether they were some traumatic event in your life or childhood or some health scare or traumatic event like what you talked about. I've had one of those as well. Back in 2014, I exited a company and dealt with some health issues.
Yeah.
But I've dealt with addiction, and I've dealt with some homelessness, and I've dealt with a lot
Tough.
of things. But a lot of those things are not as painful sometimes as those things are not any more powerful or painful in my emotional bank account than anybody else's,
Mhm.
because and that's what I think I've run into more than anything with clients and people around the country and world that I've met is they say, "Well, I don't have a story like you, Dave," or whatever, and there's this comparisonitis where we want anything and everything except what we have. And I'm sure you run into this a lot with your dating and
Amazing.
relationship clients.
Comparison is an amazing topic. Like we should chat about actually, because that is a really good topic for people in business. Is comparison.
Yeah, would you talk about how this is not just something that we face as entrepreneurs probably in our community, but how the comparison and the comparisonitis and the always grass is greener on the other side outlook, again, whether you're building a business or in probably many of your clients' cases, if you're building
Mm.
a relationship, can you talk about that? Is that toxic? How do we address that? How
Comparison, yeah, it's in business as well. I found it. It's really interesting. When you first start in let's say you want to do online coaching. Let's say you want to build a following to market your product. Let's say you're a fashion designer, something like that, right? And you want a good following is always going to help you in that industry. If you start comparing yourself to Vera Wang or Coco Chanel, you're going to suck. It's fine because we all suck compared to Vera Wang and Coco Chanel. Do you know what I mean? When I first started, I used to look at people's TikToks and they have like 100,000 followers. I was like, I'll never reach that. My goal was just if I get 10,000, I've won. I've won the game, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? I'm happy I've helped 10,000 people. It's amazing. If I start going, I'll never reach that person who's got 500,000, I never would have made it because the reason is because you'll start to emulate that person. You'll start trying to change who you are. You need to literally enjoy that process. I'm telling you now, it's more fun coming up than it is being at the top. Okay, what
Mhm.
anyone says this is the fun bit. The learning bit is the fun bit. The growing is the fun bit. And
And I and
if
I
you,
I can tell you that I feel like I've been, in some pretty cool situations, even legendary is one of the top companies in this space, if not the
yeah,
no, I think we're the top, but hey, who am I? I'm gonna be a
you
little
got,
biased, right?
yeah.
But wow, to stay in that learner's mode, you're right. That is so much more fun. And it's probably one of the reasons why I still continue to it is one of the reasons. I mean, I was just in my garage last night with an old whiteboard mapping stuff out, in a
Yeah.
$5 chair, sitting down on the floor, just kind of, drawing on an old whiteboard that I had to wipe the dust off just to get it back out. The
Yeah.
the process. I don't want to interrupt your stream of thought, but God, I agree with that.
The process is fun, man. The process. I know when I first started, like I was there, like it's when you watch your old videos, you're like, man, I fucking suck. Do you know what I mean? Back then, like I'm sure you might look at your old stuff like that was shit compared to now. Like now you're really good. Like you come across fantastic. And I'm
Yeah.
sure like back then you're like watch it like, ugh. But
Well, yeah,
there's
I
fun
thought
learning, isn't
I
it?
actually look back at a lot of my stuff now, and I'm like, I don't know why I was like, I look back at the stuff that I was doing 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and I'm like,
Mm.
what a fucking badass, you
Really?
know? Dude, I think anybody is an absolute gangster who starts doing this. There's 7 or 8
Oh, absolutely.
billion
Take
people in the
thoughts.
world, man. And if somebody has the cojones to get on camera and start talking their smack and putting their ideas out there, but yeah, so we feel like idiots though, like you said
Mm.
at the beginning, and we're comparing ourselves with everybody.
You know the biggest psychology thing, this is one of the things as well, like if you're watching this and you want to start a business, for example, do not fucking ask the opinions of anyone around you. Do not, have you been, I'm sure you're talking this, they do not care. Do you know what I mean? The people in your local town, you might get some best friends, that's fantastic, but do not ask,
I
let's
agree
say
with this.
Steve down the road how to build. Let's say, for example, he has like does a normal job, which is fine, that's cool, fantastic.
Yep.
But he's not going to teach you how to make £1 million in marketing. Do not fucking ask his opinion, because all they're going to do is put you down. They go, "Ask a stupid idea." When I first started doing dating coaching, for example, is people online are great, fantastic, really supportive, awesome. I'm always thankful to them, really nice, really cool people. I tell you what, I think probably about 1% of the people I knew in personal life were actually supportive. Everyone was trying to put it
Well, I'm
down.
glad to hear it's the same over where you're at
Absolutely.
in the UK,
Yeah. The
as it
thing
is
is,
in America.
yeah, absolutely. UK is really bad for it in some areas.
Right.
Do not take the opinion of anyone, because you will not do it and it'll get into your head as well. This will affect your confidence. If you're saying like, "Oh, how do I do this?" and like, "Oh, stupid, don't do that," that person will never grow as a person in business ever in a million years. You'll never see, for example, let's say, for example, you're a better marketer than me. If I said like a marketing idea, you wouldn't be like, "Oh, gee, that's fucking stupid." You'd be like, "Oh, try like this, mate. I think it's great that you've got the drive about you. Try like this and you'll do well." But someone who's going to be jealous of you, for example, they're not going to be like that. You know what I mean? That's the
Yeah.
biggest factor. So anyone watching this, for the confidence, don't ask anyone, just do it. Because nobody around you, maybe apart from like family or close friends, will give a shit. Do you know what I mean?
It is also a phenomenon, dude. Like
Terrible.
it's something that I can't explain, and I've never been able to meet somebody who can like really explain why. And I just think, if you go back to religious texts, and I'm not getting religious, I'm just looking at what people did back in the day. They tried to make sense of things. So they were like, part of the commandments, I think, was don't envy your neighbor's donkey. I mean, that's how bad that's how relevant even envy and so forth, and how toxic it was back, thousands of years ago. Was there, if you believe that those books were written thousands of years ago, whether they were or weren't, there's some old text. I mean, there's some old, even Aristotle, right? In the
That's
things
envy's massive in it. Talk about
the
envy
thing,
massively.
yeah.
The psychology behind envy, like behind like, let's say you're in a friendship group, let's say you're a guy watching this. Guys, women, I tend to find women tend to be more supportive as a whole than guys, because it comes in psychological attraction. Funny enough, really weird, right? So let's say you're
Now,
trying to bet
women
your
might disagree with that, right? Women might be like, "Man, these catty chicks out here," but who
well,
knows?
I
I
find
mean,
like
that
a lot of guys, it comes to psychological attraction, all comes down to social values and stuff like that, like that kind of thing. So let's say you're in a friendship group and you want to be, let's say a bit of you dating coach, that's what I know, and you say to them, "I want to be a dating coach." Most guys be like, "Okay, I need to suppress this, because if he gets it, people might think he's higher value than what he is." What it does is it affects me in, this sounds really weird, but in the tribe that I'm in, it will lower my value and raise his if it does well. However, if I keep him there and put his idea down, I will always be in that level playing field. So that's why people do it in a psychological aspect. Basically, you don't want that. They don't want you to make them look bad if you
yeah,
succeed. But if you
yeah.
do succeed, then what they do is they align themselves. They've got two things: they avoid you because it makes them feel worse about themselves, or they align themselves with you to raise their own value. It's really sad. It's a really pathetic way of looking at life, but that's
Bro,
the psychology of people.
you're explaining my life, dude. It's
Yeah.
so creepy
Have you come through
because
that quite a lot then yourself? Like,
I have, man, through the last 10 years, dude. What the kind of process that you outlined right there, with people like either aligning themselves or avoiding, like completely avoiding me.
yeah.
And that what that does, and I'm not saying I'm the most important person in the world, and I'm not trying, but this is this is a real thing, man. And on the journey of entrepreneurship, you start to feel crazy, like it's you, like there's something wrong with you, because people are, as you say, either aligning or avoiding, criticizing, and they smile to your face, but you sense envy, or you sense some sort of off vibration. And
100%, mate.
it can be a lonely road until you find your tribe, or until you can kind of, I think for me, when I came online, I really struggled with that. Before I came online, I was doing network marketing here in Florida
Yeah.
when I got clean in 2008, and I was kind of going to friends and family trying to sell them lotions, potions, and pills, or whatever I could sell. And you know, they looked at me like, yo, yeah, you know, kind of, and I felt like an
It's
outcast.
like this: get back in your box, Dave. Get back in your
Exactly.
box. That's what they want.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
because you make them look bad. It's why people online who don't know you are your best supporters, because some people are really nice people and they're genuinely supportive. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, again, when I on my Instagram and TikTok, people were so nice. They generally think you helped me. I'm like, that means so much to me. I love that. But the people who knew me, no. It's like, do you know what I mean? Like, no one give, like, maybe about a very small handful, but it's there like because you're not in your little box. Do you know what I mean? Because you're making them look bad, you know. Whereas people who don't know you, you're just delivering valuable content, for example. But people, and there's no like crossover making them look bad, because people who generally like your stuff don't give a shit about that stuff anyway. They just want to be helped, or they like your product, or whatever it is, and they're just there to enjoy themselves, which is amazing. They're always really nice and really supportive. But to people who, if you just listen to people at home, you're gonna get nowhere, mate.
This
And you
is
know that yourself.
this is like this is so important for all of us who are starting, and even those of us who have been down this journey for a little while, because you know, we start to feel like we're doing something wrong, or we start to feel like we're and it really is a weird thing when you've got, you know, family members and friends who you look to as as those who are going to protect and guide you, you know what I mean, and build you up and all this. And they're just, and it, I don't know what it is at first, but they were just projecting all their fears and all their limiting beliefs
That's
and
right.
all of
Limiting
the
beliefs,
things.
perfect word. You
Yeah,
nail on the head. Yeah.
all the things that they never tried or accomplished themselves, that maybe they have regret. I'm now doing it, and I have to hear all of the things that they probably told themselves. And
Yeah.
my friends, if you think that that's not one of the biggest pieces to this puzzle, you're fooling yourself. Mechanics, tactics, you
Yeah.
know, little things that you do in your video, none of those things even matter if eventually you're going to give in to the pressures of your sphere of influence, the criticisms and the limiting beliefs. If you're going to adopt those, all this tactical, it doesn't matter how many courses you bought. And that's why I think, and it sounds like you're dealing with a lot of the same things with people in the relationship niche as well, as they make changes in their lives or do bold things or whatever. You know, they're facing probably similar criticism. I did want to ask another question about raising your value, and you can comment on the last
Yeah.
thing as well. But I wanted to ask about the raising your value thing, and what you mean by that, because I think that that relates to people who are building businesses online as well.
Yeah. So I go to the first bit. So on the flip side, I will say is when you do have somebody in your circle who is really nice and supportive, then that's who your true friends are. Do you know what I mean? Keep that person about you. I had like a handful of them. Keep them about you. Do you know what I mean? They're the best. But anyone else, ignore them. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
And
so
you might have 1 out of 100, right? Or you might have 1 out of 1,000. You're
oh,
lucky. Let me say this. You're lucky. You're lucky if you have 1 out of 100 or 1 out of 1,000. For me, that
yeah,
person has been my wife, and I've got a handful of friends, like
yeah,
less than a handful, I know that no matter what, these cats are going to support me,
yeah.
cheer me on. And you know what? They're spread out all over the world. It's not like I've got 5
You've got
friends
the same
in my
life, mate.
freaking town. You
You've
know
got the
what I
same
mean?
life here. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, but it's true. Like it's a very small base of people, but don't you value them so much more than what you did before, don't you? Do you know what I mean? Because you're like, wow, these people are really fucking cool.
The
And the
value
second thing,
thing and
the value
raising
thing.
your value. I know that's got to be a conversation, or it sounds like a
Yeah,
conversation that you have with your clients. And I think people want to follow, whether they want to date, whether they want to learn from and do business with, they want to follow people who they perceive are people of value. Can
yeah.
you define what you mean by that? And how could somebody, just in a nutshell, take some of the strategies that you give your clients and apply them to just being entrepreneurs and online marketers?
Right. So let's say for in the marketing perspective, the value. So I learned a really good thing actually. You go from TikTok. So at first you'll get paid for what you do, then you get paid for what you say, and then you get paid for who you are. Does that make sense? So there's a little step. So you've got to build that up. So your value, as your value goes up, that changes. You get paid for what you do, then what you say, then who you are. You know? So that's how your value goes up in business, in what I found out anyway. But
I've never heard of that, man. That's
it's
really
it's
simple and
it's so
interesting.
true. Think of it like Brad Pitt's got massive social value, right? So Brad Pitt, you're gonna pay him just to be in your club.
Right.
You're not saying nothing.
Right.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Yes, so value in terms of business.
In getting to that place to where you're getting paid for who you are is not easy. Like that, you got to actually be a celebrity, I think, to have that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So it's like you have to be. That's the goal. Is you ever seen Suits, the program?
Well,
Suits?
if somebody pays you to come on, well, you're still getting paid for what you say. Boy, that's deep. That's a deep thought, man.
Yeah, so I think of it like this. It sounds really weird. From Suits, a TV show, amazing show.
Yeah, I started watching it. Is that about the law? The legal office?
Yeah. Harvey Specter says, "Walk into a room so you don't have to introduce yourself." I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's so true. But anyway, about the value for marketing is if you try and be valuable to everyone in the world, you are not going to work. It is what I found anyway, because if you're trying to be like likable to every single person out there, or you're trying to be the best every single person out there, it's not going to work. Like, you have to get your niche and build value in that niche. But the way you build value is, for one, you need to, again, this is authenticity. It's the day of Instagram's dying, you know? So it's there like the photo perfect, everything's authentic. Everyone knows that's Photoshop shit, but you got to be authentic what you say. But at the start, build that value. You at the start, whenever you put stuff online, you're going to have like let's say 100 people always going to comment on your stuff, always going to be your followers who would engage with you. You better make sure that you reply to those people. Those people took time out of their day to message you. You take time out of your day to message them. You know, you give a human touch. You know, a lot of influencers, they'll be out there and they think they're better than everybody. You're not better than no one, mate. I've got like 680,000 followers. I am no better than somebody with one follower. If they message me and I have time, I'm going to message that person back. If you start thinking you're better than somebody because you're more well known than somebody, you lose the game. You're a dickhead, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Yeah. 100%. So those first people at the start, you treat them, they're your gold, mate. You treat them like diamonds. You build, you engage with them, you talk to them, you help them. And over time, more people will, this guy actually gives a shit, or this woman gives a shit. And then you start engaging them more, and your value will build because you're basically become like their friend, if that makes sense. And you are like, some people, I've met some amazing people online, really cool people.
Yeah. And
it's like, unfortunately, the only thing is when you do get bigger, I wish I could message every single person back with comments. I genuinely wish I could. I can't, it's too much. But people know that if I see it, I will do my best. Because at the start, they know I've done that. And it's there like, that's how you build social value. Whereas if I just a guy gave a bit of dating advice and just, cool, mate, yeah, press the like button, people always look at you like, oh, you're a tool. But if you engage, that's how you build social value, is you have to have that human touch. I don't care what anyone says. You know, like when you message like an influencer and they leave you on in the request box. I'm telling you now, that person is not making a good business.
No, and I think there's a big misunderstanding about people with big followings that they're actually making good money, because
makes no difference.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't know how to monetize your audience, then it doesn't matter. And you're right. These days, the way to build social value is not through looking cool. It's through providing valuable edutainment, education, and entertainment.
It is.
It's not. It used to be through looking cool. And you're right. You know, I remember a day when Instagram first came out and I ran every picture through a filter, and it was so exciting to look a little bit better than I actually did, and kind of, you know, look a little bit cooler than I actually was. But now, but I also look back on any time that I took that sort of an action, it was feeding my ego, not my bank account.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think like the coolest thing you can do now is to actually give a shit. It sounds really weird.
It is the coolest thing you can do, man. It's the number one business strategy. But you know what?
Love it.
You know, it's not a new idea. Warren Buffett in 1969 said, delight the customer,
That's all it
delight the
is.
customer.
That's all it is. Like I tell you what, every single one of my clients, if I can go, if I have time to go fight, let's say I got a session for an hour, right? I will always try and give them, if I have time, not another booking straight after, an extra 10 minutes of my time.
Yeah.
Every time. Because I'm like, this person here, they're a customer, they're a client, whatever, but they're taking their time. Their money is fucking, that might be the last £100 that person has. Do you know what I mean? And they spend it on me. I will give them the best I can. If I didn't give the best session I can, I generally feel like shit. I hate it with a passion. I'm OCD on time, OCD with getting the best value I can give to that person. If I'm 1 minute late because I say the light bulb's gone out, it pisses me off. So I'm like, this person paid me. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'll give you an extra 5 minutes. Like,
sure. It's that is just such a powerful long-term business strategy, and I think it applies to how we handle negative comments when people leave them on our videos. I think it's a great principle to let guide us when somebody submits an email or support ticket and they're just telling us how much, how unhappy they are, or even if they leave some negative review somewhere, just any sort of attack or negativity or criticism. It's better to just take it in and just consider it. Might it be true? I'm a brand new entrepreneur. Maybe I am coming across like I'm some MLM pyramid schemer out here on TikTok. Maybe I do sound scammy. Maybe I do sound like I'm in the dating niche. I'm sure you've got stuff, man. Hey, this guy probably couldn't get laid if he paid for it.
Yeah, I literally, I've had people say that. I'm like, I've literally got a girlfriend, like in my Instagram. I'm like, what? Like, people hate it.
Yeah, so it's really how we respond to things, and I've continued to learn and practice this myself of trying to respond and not react. And it's truly, I think, the mark of a person of value. I'll just throw this in there to piggyback on what you're saying, is that responding with that, it goes back to a few of those points you were talking about with Aristotle, where you were talking about speaking with authority and also giving them like not backing them into a corner and shaking your finger at them. Like when somebody criticizes me or they cut, like I got people, man, every year it's a new bonehead out on the internet who's, their course, or there's going to be the death of legendary. I mean, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And they, they want me, I guess, to take the bait and give them a big free commercial and say their name all across, but I'll never do that.
I'll tell you what, you've hit the nail on the head. I get that a lot. So I get a lot of people make duets on my videos, right, who are like smaller dating coaches, for example, on a thing, and they'll start criticizing it, and they bait you. They try and bait you to like
right.
Give them a free shout on a big account.
Give them a free shout out.
But you're right about the negative comments.
You got to pay me for a shout out, big dog. You know what I mean? I actually like the competitors who market my name and say legendary marketer is this and that, because then they push their audience over here, and my audience listens to an hour-long free valuable video, and they're like, this is the guy that I want to follow, not the guy who is criticizing me. You know what I mean?
This is really like this, what you said about the negative comments is super important as well for somebody who wants to start online, like especially with social media stuff. Is you're going to get a lot of hate. Do you know what I mean? You will. It's the internet. People love it. They think it's fun, right? And it's fine. Don't let those comments affect you. Find them funny, right? If you know, for example, let's say I see people like go, this guy looks like a 12-year-old, I bet he never gets laid. I'm like, what? Like what? Anyway, I actually find it funny. But don't reply to those people. They are wasting your time. If you got, let's say, 5 comments, 4 of them are people going, I love your content, thank you so much, you're helpful, blah blah blah, and you got one dickhead saying something stupid, right? Ignore him. Don't spend time on these. Spend more time replying to these people. They're nice. They're the cool people, and they're the people who are actually going to value your content and boost
your our comments. I've done this too. You scan, there's 20 comments, and you go right in for that one where the person says you're a real piece of shit. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's crazy. It's crazy how our hi doggy.
Hello.
It's crazy how our and we'll wrap up so you can get back to your doggy in your life here at the top of the hour. But it's crazy how our eyes just zoom in. I think that your tip about laughing at that, finding humor in yourself and not taking yourself so seriously is a sign of a high value person.
Oh, you really think like let's say let's say George Clooney, right? You really think gives a shit if someone says that he looks old? No. You really think Alan Sugar, for example, in business, or like someone like that caliber, really thinks that if me or you criticise them? No, they wouldn't care less. They'd probably laugh it off and be like, "Look at these two idiots." Do you know what I mean? They're like, "What?"
Right. And you know what? If you can borrow that principle, even if you're broke and you're just getting started, you don't have to be George Clooney. It's all you train yourself for when you're successful on your way up. And so I
Absolutely.
think that's why I tell people who, hate their jobs and are doing a bad job at their jobs, they think, well, should I quit it and start my business? I'm like, well, if you're doing a shitty job at your job, it's not like you're going to go and crush it in business. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So
100%.
begin to develop that kind of allowing things to roll off your back or laughing at things as you're suggesting on the way up, even when you have only one follower or no comments. I saw somebody comment in one of our groups, I've been posting content for a couple of weeks and I just got my first comment,
That's awesome.
and I can't remember if they were like, it's a negative comment or I think they said it was a negative comment. And it's like, should I respond to it? And it's like, well, if you've only got one comment, why not? If you've got one
100%.
comment, just everything's a learning experience. Everything's a learning experience.
About that's really interesting. Like those first bits as well need to be exciting. Your first comment, if you're watching this and posting content on social media, you should tell you what, you should be excited. I remember the first time I got paid for a TikTok video, like in the videos, it's literally like it was like Tiny Man, right? I was like, fucking yes. I was like, that's like a can of beans, mate. I got paid a can of beans to make a video. That's fucking awesome. Like, do you know what I mean? I was like, that's amazing, and it grows over time. But those should be the exciting bits. Is like your first comment, your first when
Even
you
if
reach
it's a negative one.
followers.
Even if it's a negative one. I mean,
100%.
somebody,
Someone took time out of their day to
hey,
comment.
the algorithm's working. It's putting your content in front of people at least. I mean, at least you know that it's working, that your video is getting watched.
Absolutely. And we'll say as well for people watching on social media, a bit of like, this is one of the most valuable bit of the advice you're going to get for content creation, for marketing. Your videos, you need to make it so the people watch it the whole way through, right? Do not at the end waffle about what you say, right? Watch all my videos on TikTok, you'll see it. That last comment, I say I do 5 things, blah, blah, blah. That last one, you will have to watch the whole way through that last bit to understand what I'm on about, right? What it does, if I went at the end, okay, make sure you follow me, press like, share, follow, you lose, mate, because it's not completion rate isn't complete, You want people to watch that video to the very last second. So if you're watching it, make your videos thinking, am I waffling at the end? If I'm waffling, delete it, start again. That last point, be sharp, fast, and quick. Do you know what I mean?
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
Because this is a really common strategy nowadays, and people are catching on to it. What you're talking about, and they just double. I know they're getting so many more views because they're doing this. You almost, when you do that, when you cut that last either idea or piece of advice or the number 5 thing or 3 thing or whatever you're talking about sharply, and as you say, don't waffle, it also makes me want to watch the video again all the way through to catch that last point. Therefore, I'm as a one person watching the video multiple times. Does that phenomenon also happen when you do that, do you think?
Absolutely, yeah. So 100%. But what we'll say, this is the stupidest bit of advice, and it works incredibly well, and it's so dumb. I saw someone post it, like some content creation guys, like, I'm an idiot. That last word, so let's say if I say a syllable, let's say chewing gum, right? It was chewing gum here. If I went chewing gum, right? That's my last word in the video. Say chewing gum and just write it, right? It sounds stupid, but this is a game changer. That last syllable, cut it out, because then people will watch it to the end, but write it. So always have subtitles as well on your videos, because people, this sounds really weird. Every single video you have should have a subtitle on your social media, because people are at work and they're watching on their phone and they can't get caught. Do you know what I mean? And they're like, they can watch it. People on the toilet, they don't get, want people listening. Have subtitles on all your videos. But anyway, cut off the last syllable of the word on your video so the video gets cut short just a second, right? But make sure you write it so people understand what it is.
Yeah.
Sounds stupid. That will boost your videos massively,
Why do you
massively.
think that is? Why do you think that is?
Because the algorithm
They'll
works
watch
on
it again,
completion rate.
feeling like. Go ahead.
No, the algorithm works on completion rate and watch time.
Okay.
That's how it works. If you got a completion rate of 30%, let's say you get 100,000. Let's say you got 30% completion rate. So 30% of people watch your video the whole way through. You're a viral video on TikTok. Well done. Do you know what I mean? That's hard to get 30% of people watch your video the whole way through. That's 40 seconds long. It's fucking hard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's going to help you at the end. Is just cough that last syllable, do something like that, and the watch time. The longer you can make a video, if you make it too long, you're going to get boring and people won't give a shit about you. Because they'll be like, okay, this is like 5 minutes long, can't be asked of this, see you later. Make your video. I found a sweet spot for me is 40 to 45 seconds. That's when people are going to watch it to the end and it will deliver valuable content. That's good for them. If you make it, people say make 7-second videos. No, you do not make 7-second videos unless you're funny. I'm not a funny guy. I can't pull it off. Don't make 7-second videos. Don't make videos at a minute and a half, right? 45 seconds if you want to deliver some valuable content.
If you're talking, see, we have a lot of people who, when they're just getting started out, they're still using trending sounds.
No, don't.
They have to. They have no creativity yet. You know what I mean? They're literally just starting and they're using trending sounds and they're pointing and putting text up on the screen.
Yeah, that's interesting. When people they get like voiceovers where like someone talking.
Yeah.
Right. You need to it sounds really harsh, but you need to look at yourself using it as a mask. That's what you're doing. It's a mask that you're using because you're shy. We're all shy. I was nervous making videos at the start. We all are. It's a mask. When you like people doing like voiceover stuff or just a video going like, sometimes it's okay, mix up with a little sound thing. But I'm telling you now, look yourself in the mirror because you know for a fact you're using that as a mask to hide yourself. People want to see who you are. They want to hear you. Sounds really weird, but your voice is a big, powerful thing, right? Get used to it. Don't worry if you're not going to be perfect at the start. My videos sucked at the start, right? Do you know what I mean? My videography or whatever was terrible. Pauses were terrible. Yeah. You're going to make mistakes. Accept it. But as long as what you say is valuable and you know that, you're going to get better on camera anyway. You think Michael Buffer, the ring announcer, you really think he started off like that? He was terrible at the start, apparently. Apparently he's really nervous or whatever. I've heard stories or whatever. Now he's the best in the world. He's and
his brother is too.
Yeah, he is amazing as well. And so like just make the videos and do it with your talking. People rather hear you talk than hear some voiceover.
Well, I think that those tools, are a double-edged sword for us because they help us to get started and start creating content, which is in the past when you only had YouTube in long form content. It's a way for somebody to get started fast. And the opposite side of that coin is it can be a crutch. It can be a crutch, as you say. And we use it as a crutch to enable us to not develop our voice, to not develop a message, to not develop also values. I think communicating to your audience what your values are, like what you believe in, and I'm not talking about religious, I'm not talking about political. Let's put all that aside for a second. Because all that stuff's crazy and way blown out of proportion.
You don't talk about political and religious stuff on the internet. You don't. You just leave it there, don't you?
Leave it out. Leave it out. Because anybody who posts political stuff, it's just it's old. It's over. Whereas a human race, like a species, we need to move forward and beyond that. And I think we are on the internet, and we are as creators. Yeah, what you're talking about here, man, is really powerful, dude. What any other final tips, anything else that you have written down that you wanted to share, or what would you leave people with today who are inspired by this talk, man?
What I would say is any business you're in, no matter what it is, any business you're in, no matter what it is, your main concern is to help. That's it. Do you know what I mean? Is to help or deliver an amazing product. Be better. It sounds really weird. It sounds so English and better. Be better or the best version you can be of yourself to help your customer. And the main thing is you need to. Sorry, Leo, please stop. The main thing is you need to genuinely care about your customer. If you don't, get out of business. There's no point you being in it. You need to genuinely care that you deliver good service and a good product. And when you do care, the best marketing you ever can get is word of mouth. Okay, 100%. Because then you'll enjoy it. You'll feel valuable within yourself, and you deliver the valuable stuff to people. That's what matters. Just help people. That's literally it. Do the best you can to help people. 100%.
Yeah. Dude, it's so true. It's even more important than you getting paid as the entrepreneur, as the business owner, because if you don't help somebody, if the service or product isn't valuable, you're not going to get paid, right? It's literally more important. And I think, when we start, a lot of us, what you say is if we really just marinate on that and accept that, that you getting paid, you earning a commission, you making a sale is not more important than the customer getting value.
Do you think I always think like this, like the best chef in the world, you really, like if you care about money that deeply over your product, you're not going to make it. If it's just about money, you're not going to make it. Like if I care about money, like I am not going to make it a dating coach. I generally love psychology. I love helping people. And when someone gives me a good review, like I got a new partner because of you, I'm like, that means more than £1,000 to me. It doesn't mean any, like £1,000 means nothing to me in comparison to that. Like the best chef in the world, you really think he cooks for money? Don't give a shit about money. He cooks because he loves to cook for people, and the money will come when you get better at stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Money comes. Money
follows energy. Money follows energy, man. It follows value and energy. And it's almost like, because it's our form of currency, the flows of money, whether they're in markets or whether they're individually, it's a constant flow. And there's already an understanding that people have between each other that if I provide a service or if I provide something, you're going to give me money. That's already assumed. Yeah. You don't even have to, you know what I mean? Like, all you have to do is guide people as to where to go to give you money. Like, here, click this link. It'll happen naturally. And that's why I think your point here to end the show is so powerful, because I believe it's one of the biggest hurdles we get over is being able to put the customer before our own needs. And that's not normally what we do as an employee. As an employee, I am there to get paid. And if I put in an hour, I damn well better get paid for that hour, or else I'm leaving the business. I'm joining the union. I'm whatever, right? I'm quitting. Yeah. Whereas an entrepreneur, when you own the business and the buck stops with you, you may have to deliver value for a significant period of time before you get paid. I mean, it's all because you're not entitled to payment.
I expect someone message you going, your marketing tips really helped me. I bet I feel so much better to you than getting paid.
I love that. I love that. I love to get paid, but I also love to get complimented. And I love to, money to me is a sign that I'm delivering value.
Yes.
100%. That's what it is. It's my gauge. So whenever I deliver more value, like I started doing this show at the beginning of the pandemic because everybody was freaking out. And I was like, okay, how can I help our community feel more safe and strong? And how can I protect our business more while delivering more value? And I started doing this show every day. And guess what? Income has just steadily gone up. Why? Because I'm just putting out way more value, man.
You made this video because you genuinely give a shit.
Yeah. That's it. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this. That's the
biggest secret I found in business with my own personal experience. Give a shit. Yeah. That's all it is. Care about people, because that's all it is. But yeah,
Jamie says money is a sign you're delivering value. That's it. That's it, man. Ron, you're very welcome. Fantastic information. Toda, I don't know who that is, but thank you. Somebody said straighten your picture. People are just
no, it is straight. It's the camera.
It is straight. Straighten your eyes.
It is straight.
Andy. Good. Thanks for being on, Andy. Unless politics are your business, keep your business out of politics. There you go. Hey, man, this is great, man. Mayor says thank you, very insightful. Just I love these conversations, and it's even more powerful for me to hear somebody who is from the opposite side of the world, and who we've sort of come into this space from different roads. you know, and I think it's just a beautiful thing because you are now a new friend that is more supportive of my business and what I'm doing than a lot of my friends are. Isn't that something you can connect with? Now, I'm not saying that because I'm struggling with it. It's something that I accepted a long time ago.
Birds of a feather flock together, mate.
But hey, man, you know what the beautiful part of the internet is? And here's why I'm long on the internet as far as just companies and just because we're moving in, folks, to a creator economy. We're moving into a creator economy. People don't want to go back to work. They don't want to, you know, they don't want to go and do the things that they did because they sat home for a year and a half, and they made money. They survived. So they're all saying to themselves, hey, you know, whether I want to go and just be a YouTuber or whether I want to take it more seriously and learn how to really monetize some of this content and sell products or be an affiliate or whatever, people are flocking, man, to the internet. And you've given people what you've done for me today is show me that no matter what niche or topic I'm in, a lot of the same principles apply. And I need to develop a lot of the same skills, and I need to develop myself in the same exact way if I'm going to be in the make money online niche, if I'm going to be in the health niche, if I'm going to be in the relationship niche or any other niche out there.
My dad always told me when I was younger. He had a real good business, my dad, growing up. And he said, I always remember saying to him, what's your best thing? Like, what's your best advertising tool? He went, just do a fucking good job. It truly is. That's all he said. And I was like, right, wicked. And word will spread. That's it.
It is. Well, you've done a great job for us today. I appreciate it, man. And please come back and see us again. I'd love to do a follow-up episode with you.
Thank you for having me. And thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Absolute pleasure.
All right, Jacob. Talk soon, buddy. All right, my friends. Colette, you're welcome. Jacob was incredible. Thank you so much for, of course, Jacob being on for an hour and 13 minutes, and everybody for listening. We'll be back tomorrow for another episode. You know how we do it. Get into the challenge if you're not yet, or get back into it. Some of you need to start. Some of you need to start over. Get into the blueprints if you have not, or maybe many of you probably already have the blueprints. Get into them. Go through that learning, that soak all that up initially all the way through so you know what you're doing, and then get into action. You will be amazed by what you can accomplish in a year. You'll be underwhelmed probably by what you can accomplish in just a few weeks. So don't expect magic to happen overnight. But just as Jacob said, he would have been happy with 10,000 followers. Wow. Now he's got over 600,000 across his profiles. Inspiration, folks. Inspiration. If you didn't find it here, check your pulse. We'll see you back here for another episode tomorrow. Peace.